As we've discussed in class, sentences can be divided into two parts, a subject and a predicate. The subject usually takes the form of a noun phrase and the predicate takes the form of a verb phrase. Okay, so we can split a sentence into two parts. So if we take a look here at our sentence on the screen, the young family's very noisy neighbors in the frat house next door didn't actually throw another party last night. We should be able to identify a subject and a predicate. Okay, the subject, usually it comes first in canonical sentences. The verb's going to agree with it, and we can replace it with a nominative pronoun. So in this case, we could say they didn't actually throw another party last night, and so we can use that to mark off. To mark off or to determine what the subject is. Okay, so let's indicate that. So the subject's going to be up to here. They didn't actually throw another party last night. Okay, there we have the tensed verb with didn't, so that's where the predicate's going to start, and we can mark that. Didn't actually throw another party last night, so that'll be our predicate. Okay, so the first part there, that's the subject. That's going to be the noun phrase subject. Okay, so we can label that as being an NP, and the other part, the verb phrase predicate, we'll label that as a VP. Okay, so there we go. We've labeled these two pieces. Now, of course, there's a whole bunch more pieces in there. We don't quite know how to label them all yet and how they're going to combine, but we'll figure that out. But we do know at least these two major pieces of the sentence. Okay, so for that we can capture that with a rule. So let's write that down. Okay, so we can capture that with a rule, noting that. Okay, so we can say a sentence can consist of a noun phrase followed by a verb phrase. So that's what we're going to say as a rule, and then we can use this rule to draw our initial tree structures, right? So we're going to say that we can combine a noun phrase and the verb phrase together. Okay, whenever you have two things combining, they're going to have a point up here. Make sure to draw that point higher. Okay, and that is what we're going to label as the sentence node. Right? So we'll give that an S label to indicate that that's our sentence. Okay, and so there's our first little tree that we've drawn. Okay, now what we want to do is, of course, this is a complicated example, although it's still a canonical sentence. Well, actually, it's not quite canonical since it's negative, but it's a complicated sentence with lots of words in it. So we want to look and see what other kinds of start to see what can be inside the noun phrase, what can be inside the verb phrase. Okay, so let's look at some simple examples. Start off with simple verb phrases, simple noun phrases. Okay, so let's take a look here. Let's take a look at a sentence like the children sang. Okay, so again, same thing. We have a subject, the children, and we have a predicate, sang. Okay, here the predicate just consists of the verb. Okay, so sometimes the predicate will just be the verb, so let's go ahead and label that. So our predicate's just a verb, and all by itself, that's going to be the verb phrase. Okay, so we can go ahead and label those pieces in there, draw some connecting lines, and there we go. Okay, so we've got our predicate, in this case, is just a verb phrase. Okay, so we can add this to our list of rules up here. So let's see. Okay, so we have a sentence can be a noun phrase followed by a verb phrase, and a verb phrase, at least in certain cases, can just be a verb. Of course, in other sentences, might have some other stuff with it. So let's look at one more example where it does have some stuff with it, some other material with it. Okay, so we'll get rid of that guy for a second, and let's get another one over here. Alright, so how about something like the children sang a song? Okay, again, children, or the children is still the subject, but our predicate is sang a song. So we've got the verb now, but we've also got a noun phrase going with it, serving as the object. Okay, we can tell it's a noun phrase. Song is a noun. We could pluralize it. Songs. Here we have a determiner with it, which is a good hallmark of being a noun phrase. Okay, so we don't know the structure yet for a noun phrase yet, so we'll just go ahead and put our triangle in here. We'll learn about that shortly. Okay, we'll label our verb. We have our little connector line there if I can get it straight. There we go. Alright, and now we want to say this verb plus this noun phrase are going to combine together to make a verb phrase. Okay, so in this case we're going to have they're going to combine together to make a verb phrase. There we go. So in this case we'll have a verb phrase that consists of a verb plus a noun phrase. Okay, so we can have that. We can add that in up here to our rules. Sometimes we have a verb phrase that consists of a verb followed by a noun phrase. Now if we want, really what we can do is we can just combine these two rules together. Okay, so we can combine these into a single rule. What we're going to say is that a verb phrase always is going to have a verb in it, and then sometimes optionally it'll have a noun phrase with it as well. And so we'll indicate that by putting the noun phrase in parentheses. Okay. Alright, now let's look at what the possibilities are for our subject and other kinds of noun phrases. Okay, so let's take a look at the subject noun phrase here. Okay, so we've got a determiner. Let's indicate that. Okay, so we've got a determiner. Again, we've got a noun. Okay, there. Let's go ahead and label those guys. Alright, how do we want them to combine? Now, we're not going to combine them the same way we did over here we just said a verb plus a noun phrase will give us a verb phrase. We're not going to say a determiner plus a noun gives us a noun phrase. We need to do something a little bit different here. Noun phrases kind of have a little bit of extra layer, extra structure in them. So we need a place essentially like to put adjectives and things. So for example, adjectives are going to combine first with a noun, and then later the determiner will combine with it. Okay, so we're going to need an extra level in here. We're going to call that extra level a nominal. We were going to abbreviate it nom. Okay. So essentially we're saying there's an area of the within a noun phrase that's going to consist of the noun plus some other material such as adjectives to the exclusion of the determiner. Okay, and then the determiner is going to combine with that nominal to give us a noun phrase. Okay, so there we go. It's combining together to give us our noun phrase. Okay, let's get that labeled. Okay, so there we go. So an NP is going to be a determiner plus a nominal. Okay, so we can write that also in our rule format. So let's go ahead and do that. Alright, so we're saying NPs can be a determiner plus a nominal. And then what's a nominal going to be? Well, a nominal is just going to be, in this case, it's just going to be a noun. We'll see later some other things that can be included in the nominal, again, like adjectives. Okay. Alright, now that we've got these two pieces built up, the NP and the VP down here, we can go ahead and combine those together and make those guys into the sentence, right? Okay, so let's do that. There's the sentence, and we'll connect them here and here, and we've got the structure. Now down here for this NP, we can go ahead and fill out what its structure is like, right? Okay, let's see if we can, I don't know if we can quite squeeze that in. Are we going to have enough room? Let's see, probably not. We're going to have to create some more room here. So let's erase this. Okay, and then we'll have some more room in there. Alright, so again, song A is going to be our determiner. So we'll label it. Okay, song is going to be a noun. Okay, we'll label it. It's also going to be the nominal. We'll label that. Okay, and now that we've got our labels in there, oops, we can put our NP label back in. We're ready to go ahead and connect the pieces. Alright, so song is a noun. The noun is a nominal. Okay. Is a determiner. The determiner plus the nominal gets us the NP. The NP plus the verb gets us the VP. Okay, and there's going to be the structure for the children sang a song. Okay, so excellent. All right, let's look at a few more examples. We want to see at least one other kind of noun phrase here at the moment. Okay, so let's take an example sentence like this one. All right, children sang. Here's kind of a very minimal sentence. So we have the subject, which is just a noun, and the predicate, which is just a verb. Okay, so let's take a look and see what we have here. Now here we don't have the determiner, so in this case we're going to say that children is just going to be a nom by itself. Okay, so we'll label it a nom, and it'll be a noun phrase by itself. Okay. Again, we just go through in here and connect our pieces, try to get our lines straight as much as we can. Alright, so there's our subject, and again our verb phrase is just going to be the verb. So let's get that guy over here and labeled. So there's the verb, and then it's a verb phrase. Okay, and then we can connect our pieces again. Soup. Not worrying so much about getting those lines exactly straight. Okay, then we're going to label this thing an S, a sentence. Okay, and we're done. There's children. Okay, and sing. Children sing. Okay, and so with that you should be able to, one more thing, we'll go back up here and let's modify our rules. We say that a noun phrase is going to be a determiner plus a nom, but now we're saying that the determiner is sometimes going to be optional. So let's see if we can get that added in real fast. So to make the determiner optional, we're going to put in some parentheses. Okay. Let's see, let's just rewrite the rule. I think that'll be easiest. So determiner optional plus the nom. Okay. Alright, and then we can just kind of go up here and go up there and erase that rule. Delete it. Or not. Alright. And now we can put this rule back in its place. Okay, so there's our slightly revised rule. Okay, so we've ended up with just 4 rules. Okay, so far. A sentence can consist of a noun phrase followed by a verb phrase. The verb phrase is going to be a verb plus an optional noun phrase. The noun phrase is going to be an optional determiner followed by a nominal, and the nominal is going to be an N. Okay, so that'll be our 4 initial rules, and with that we'll be able to draw various tree structures. Okay, so now you can practice on that.